Okay, today we're making a super delicious apple galette. It's a simple rustic dessert that has flaky buttery pastry that's filled with tender spiced apples, and it bakes up beautifully golden every time. So we're going to start off by preparing the pastry dough. So to a food processor, add in 180 grams or 1.5 cups of plain all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of white granulated sugar, and half a teaspoon of salt. Pulse that a few times until everything is well combined. Next, add in 113 grams or half a cup of cold unsalted butter that's been cut into cubes, and then pulse until the mixture looks like coarse crumbs with small pieces of butter still visible throughout the mixture. Next, add 3 tablespoons of ice-cold water and pulse just until the dough starts forming large crumbs or small clumps. You want to be careful not to overmix the dough. So to check if the dough is ready, you just want to squeeze a little bit of the dough between your fingers, and if it holds together, then it's ready. If it's still dry, just add a tiny bit more water, maybe like a teaspoon at a time, and pulse it briefly before rechecking to see if it's ready. So once done, turn the dough out onto a lightly floured surface and gently bring it together with your hands without kneading it. Just press it into a rough ball and then flatten it into a disc. By not kneading the dough, it's going to help ensure that we have a nice flaky pastry. So once your dough disc is ready, just wrap it in cling wrap and refrigerate it for at least 1 hour. Now while the dough chills, you want to prepare the filling. So to start, I'm going to prepare the apples. You're going to need 3 large apples. I like using Granny Smith apples, and you want to peel, core, and slice the apples into roughly 1/4 inch thick slices. Now once the apples are ready, you want to transfer them to a bowl, and to the apples add in 3 tablespoons of white granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, half a teaspoon of lemon zest. Remember to only grate the top yellow part of the lemon because we don't want the bitter white pith that's underneath. 3/4 of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground nutmeg, 1.5 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. Give that a good mix so that the apples are evenly coated, and then just set it aside for now. Now once you're ready to roll out the dough, you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 425F or 220C conventional, and line a baking sheet with parchment paper. So grab the chilled dough from the fridge, lightly flour your bench, and then roll the dough out into a 12-inch circle. Now once that's done, you want to carefully roll the dough onto your rolling pin, and then unroll it onto the prepared baking sheet just as an easy way to transfer it without the dough breaking. Next, you want to arrange the apple filling in the center, leaving a border around the edges. You can either do this in a nice pattern or just pop the apples on and spread them out flat with a slight mound in the middle. Now once that's done, you just want to fold the edges of the dough over the apples, pleating and pinching the edges as you go. Now to finish off preparing the galette, you just want to brush the crust with a lightly beaten egg, and for a bit of extra sweetness you can sprinkle the edges with about half a tablespoon of white granulated sugar, though this is optional, but I do recommend it. So our apple galette is done and ready to go into our preheated oven, and you want to bake it for about 25 minutes or until the crust is golden brown and the apple filling is bubbling. So once the galette is done, take it out of the oven, and you can brush a little of the hot syrup from the filling over the apples for a bit of extra shine, but again this part is totally optional and more for aesthetics. Now just let the apple galette cool slightly, and then use a sharp knife to cut the galette into wedges, kind of like a pizza. This apple galette is rich, rustic, looks impressive, and honestly just tastes incredible. So that is it for today, guys. If you do decide to give this apple galette recipe a go, then please do leave a review on our blog. It really helps our content out here at Cakes by MK, and I'll see you in the next video.